Hello and welcome to our live stream special event live from Killarney Provincial Park with our exciting astronomer in residences for 2026, Sana and Anna, who are live on the scene of the Dark Sky Preserve. If you're not familiar with the program, welcome to the Alan I. Carswell Observatory, and this is our special astronomer in residence impromptu live stream. I will be one of your live stream hosts. I'm Dr. Elena Hyde. I'm the observatory director. I'm joined this evening by Sana Withers and Anna Skrinick live on site. We are, of course, celebrating the Astronomer in Residence program for 2026. Sana and Anna, welcome. How does it feel to be on a dark sky preserve?
Oh, Imaging plan finished. Awesome. It is, the skies here are so much nicer than the ones we're used to. It's very easy to pick out constellations, not only see sort of the brighter constellations that you can still pick out from Toronto, but also to just be able to see some of the fainter stars and the Milky Way just with the naked eye is wonderful.
And of course, I can see what you're looking at right now. So just for our viewers, this fabulous image that we're showing
Exposure
is in
started.
fact the image from one of the
Exposure
telescopes
finished.
out at the Killarney
Imaging
Provincial Park
plan finished.
Observatory. The other voice you're hearing is the computer who is
Exposure started.
announcing the telescope image
Exposure
processing.
finished.
So please feel free to
Imaging
ignore
plan
them
finished.
and enjoy
Exposure started.
lovely pictures of the
Exposure
moon
finished.
coming in this evening.
Imaging
We
plan
have
finished.
lots of great things that we
Exposure
can
started.
try to see out at Killarney with
Exposure
dark
finished.
skies. The moon, of course,
Imaging
is
plan finished.
probably not helping the dark skies too much. You do have about a
Exposure
70%
started.
phase, 70% full
Exposure
phase
finished.
moon. Is that obstructing
Imaging
your view at
plan
all?
finished. Right now the sky is still a little bit bright. It's just from sunset. I think we're still in nautical twilight at the moment, so we can't see some of the faintest stars just in general right now. But last night when we were out, we came out after the moon had set just because it was cloudy earlier in the day, or earlier in the night. So we got nice dark moonless skies for a bit last night.
Wow, that sounds amazing. And of course, we're hoping that we get some good dark skies tonight as well. For the live stream, we're looking right along the edge of the sort of the terminator between the lit side and the shadow side of the moon. Is this, do you know what region you're pointed at?
Right, so right here it looks like this is the south pole of the moon, just based off of the number of craters. The south pole of the moon is very heavily cratered. So my guess is this is the south pole, but I do recognize this area right here as the Sea of Tranquility and the Sea of Serenity. Those two are right next to each other.
Amazing. And of course, if anybody is looking for some good moon maps or resources to help identify those features on the moon that Sana was talking about, we do have some moon maps on our observatory page linked under
Exposure
resources,
started.
especially if you go to the observers
Exposure
area.
finished.
We have a bunch of
Imaging
different
plan finished.
moon interactive and
Exposure
moon
started.
phase tools. So if you're looking for any
Exposure
observatory
finished.
resources, or of course
Imaging
resources from
plan
other
finished.
places, we have them all listed over on our site,
Exposure
yorkview.ca
started.
slash science slash
Exposure finished.
observatory. Of course,
Imaging plan
with
finished.
the moon, we do get a lot of fun
Exposure started.
sort of moon
Imaging plan finished.
moon phase information. The
Exposure
Sky
started.
Guide for June has
Exposure
actually
finished.
really featured the moon quite
Imaging
heavily.
plan finished.
We are not in time for the Venus, Jupiter, Moon, Mercury meetup, which has already happened. But the moon in June is pretty nice. We've seen it come close to several planets. We had, of course, let's see, this is already June 23rd. Can you believe it? We just passed the first quarter moon on June 21st. And when we get to the end of this month, June 29th, we're actually going to have a full moon, but, and this will make you happy, Sana, it's going to be a micro moon. So,
Ah,
um,
so this is the
it's
best full moon to come to Killarney on.
yes, exactly. So even though you might have the full moon out at the dark sky site, it is a micro moon, which means it's just a tiny, tiny, tiny bit smaller. And I see we've got a little bit of a different position here. This is a great view. Um, Now, what have you pointed us at anything in particular?
I was just trying to get the other side of the moon because we'd been kind of cutting off the northern pole of the moon. So I was just trying to find that. But there's a lot of interesting craters and kind of ridges around this side of the moon. So these darker areas of the moon are all called the mare or the lunar seas, which are just sort of these ancient lava basins, essentially. And they're called the lunar seas just because the ancient astronomers used to believe that the Earth was or the moon was kind of a reflection of the Earth. So the darker regions were believed to be reflections of the Earth's oceans, and then the brighter areas were kind of a reflection of the actual Earth parts of the Earth. So these sorts of areas here are kind of mountains and ridges that had survived the other mare, which had been filled in with lava. So they tend to be much older regions. And you can see a ton of craters and a ton of interesting detail sort of lying along those ridges just around there, including a couple of really big craters as well, just like this one.
Yes, excellent highlighting. I love this software. It's so easy to highlight things. We've got to get this working on the 1 meter as well.
Yeah.
And of course, this is another great advantage of our astronomer in residence program is that the Killarney Parks Observatory is not, I mean, it depends on your distance scale. It's a fair drive away from Toronto.
Yeah.
So 5 to 6 hours, depending on how fast you go.
Yeah. Anna and I this time did our shopping first and decided we were just going to get on the road and go. So I think we made it in record time this time around.
How long did it take you to get up there? I'm always curious.
Probably, Anna, what was it, like 4.5 hours? Yeah, so it was about 4.5 hours, 5 hours, but we did stop for burgers. So,
That's fair. Yeah, so 4.5 to 5 hours is what I've heard. And of course, with the you know the travel time being rather longer, we do get the advantage of different weather. So when it's not quite ideal here in Toronto, or the football stadium has its lights on, um, which causes a substantial amount of light pollution, much more than the full moon. Then, of course, we can tune in to the telescopes out at Killarney, where you are. And the observatory at Killarney has two telescopes. Right now, you're on the 16-inch telescope. Is this your favorite one?
I think so, yes.
Yeah, and if anyone wants to read about the telescopes out at the Astronomer in Residence program, and this is the Alan I. Carswell Observatory Astronomer in Residence at Killarney Park. So we are the Alan I. Carswell Observatory. We're in Toronto. We send people out to Killarney Park, where there is a Killarney Parks Observatory, which is, shall I say, uh, not not steadily crude. But in the summer, we send astronomers as often as we can to run the observatory, to do shows, to do observing, to do in-person tours, and lots of fun events. So if you want to read about that or follow along with what Sana and Anna are doing in their blog, it's all on our website, yorq.ca/science/observatory and then /air for astronomer in residence. And I'll just advertise your blog a little bit, Sana.
Yeah.
So if folks want to see some static pictures of what the observatory out at Killarney looks like, and some very tempting pictures of some what looks like some very, very good ice cream.
It was named Moon Mist, and we just couldn't resist it.
Well, I mean, with that kind of name, how could you say no?
Exactly.
It's all on Sana and Anna's blog, and this is on the website, that same website. You just click on Astronomer in Residence blog. It'll take you to the current astronomer at the top, and there's some lovely pictures of the night sky, and of course a few unfortunate. Looks like you were Starlinked a little bit.
Yes. Lots of satellites in some of those images.
Yeah, so unfortunately, we are seeing more and more satellite streaks. We, call it getting Starlinked as a verb. This is when one of them cuts across the image while you're trying to take a picture and it leaves a streak. So instead of just the stars, you get the stars and a streak. But there are some really, really wonderful pictures. The Milky Way out there just really, really pops. And with the 16-inch, we have tracking on the telescope, which is really wonderful. Um, and makes it very easy for objects to be followed around the sky. The other telescope, in case anyone's interested, is a 10-inch. And the 10-inch Meade SCT is generally used for solar observing. Um, it's a little bit, I think, slightly harder to point. The
Mhm.
16-inch is a Meade LX 600 for any telescope fans in the audience.
Yeah, we did some solar observing with the other telescope last summer, and we have two solar observing scheduled for the next couple weeks. So hopefully we'll be out in that dome as well.
Yeah, and the solar observing is actually pretty good. We have been seeing some flares, so fingers crossed, but we might even get a little bit of aurora out there on site for you folks. Of course, when aurora happens in the big cities like Toronto, you very rarely get to see anything. But if you're out at Killarney Provincial Park or the associated observatory, which is situated therein, the aurora can be very spectacular.
Yes, I have never seen aurora from Killarney. I did see it very briefly a few years ago from Toronto at the observatory. So hopefully we get lucky this year and we get some aurora.
Absolutely. So the moon is, as you know, as I'm sure you've noticed, it looks amazing. It's really hard to lose with a view of the moon. We do have a smaller camera that shows the bigger picture, but rather than switching back and forth, maybe we should try for a different object during the live stream. What do you say, Sana?
Yeah, yeah, that would be great. To drive to the other target, we might need to switch back to the other camera though.
All right, well, let's do
Um,
it.
yeah.
Let's go for it. And I think we might try for a bright star. I think you were saying Arcturus is pretty good.
Camera
Yes,
disconnected.
Arcturus is not too far off of the moon right now, so I'm hoping we
USB
can
device
pretty
disconnected.
pretty quickly switch over to it.
All right, well, while you're switching over, I'll give some fun facts to everybody about the star Arcturus. So
Okay.
if you are in a dark sky like Sana and Anna have out there on site right now,
USB
one of the
device
things that
connected.
will really pop out is you're
Camera
going to
connected.
get a view of the constellations. The constellations can be really hard to see in the big city. Sometimes you only catch the top two or three brightest stars. Arcturus is one of those stars that tends to be more visible. It's very, very bright to us. It is a little bit red tinged, but it's actually part of a really fun star hop that you can do to find your way around the sky. So if anyone is out tonight and you see the moon, and then a little bit above it, a few hands as you hold your hand in front of your face. There's a bright red little star. If you're in a city, it's going to be really dim. If you're in a dark sky site or out at a park with no lights on, it might actually be pretty bright. That's going to be the red star Arcturus. And this is a red giant star. Actually, out in space, it's a pretty interesting object. These stars are at the ends of their lives. It's in what's called the constellation of Bootes, and it's the brightest star in the constellation. So it means it's easy to find. And if you find that star, you can actually use it to find your way around the sky. Because from Arcturus, you can make an arc and start following the arc across the sky like a curve up and to the right or up into the or down and to the left, depending on which direction you're facing. And it will start to form the handle of the Big Dipper if you arc far enough. And so this will actually lead you from Arcturus to the Big Dipper. Or if you're at the Big Dipper already, you can use the handle to arc down to Arcturus. And so this gives you a little fun way to find your way around the sky. Once you get across the arc of the Big Dipper, you can see the shape of the Dipper. It's got that arc, and then there's the four little stars that make up the bowl of the Big Dipper. Now, these are not all visible if you're in a bright city site. So if you're in the middle of downtown Toronto, you might have trouble seeing this part already. But even if it's just a little bit dark, you can usually make out the Big Dipper. It's one of the brighter constellations. Those stars are, they look like a pattern to us. They're not physically related in space at all, but you can use those stars to arc across. So you follow the arc down, you get to the bowl of the Big Dipper, and then when you reach the bowl, the two edges of the bowl are away from the arc, kind of are formed by two little stars in a line. And those stars are Dupe and Merak. And the fun thing about the Big Dipper is if you take those two stars that are in a
Exposure started.
line away from the arc on the
Exposure
opposite
finished.
side, you can draw a line up all the way to Polaris, the North Pole. And that
Exposure started.
will tell you where north is,
Exposure finished.
in addition to all kinds of other fun things. So it looks like while I've been describing it, we have managed
Exposure
to find
started.
our way across the sky.
Exposure finished.
This looks very Arcturus-y to me,
Yes.
Senna.
Yes, Arcturus is this one right here. The background of this is a little bit blue, which is, I think, because it's still moderately bright out right now. So I think we're just kind of seeing a bit of a blue sort of tint from the atmosphere. But yes, this is Arcturus.
Wonderful. And as I say, this red giant star
Exposure started.
is at the
Exposure
end
finished.
of its stellar evolution. So this kind of thing might
Exposure
happen to
started.
our star someday
Exposure
when it
finished.
runs out of fuel. Eventually, it puffs up, it turns red, and it gets much, much,
Exposure
much
started.
bigger, and also much
Exposure
cooler.
finished.
It's still going to be pretty hot, but this is not too far from us. It's on the grand scheme of things, substantially farther than Killarney to Toronto, but it's only 36.7 light years away from our own sun. So that means that the light we're seeing from Arcturus right now actually left Arcturus about 36.7 years ago. It took 36.7 years for the light to travel from them to us. So we're seeing it as it was 36.7 years ago. And it's already about 7.1 billion years old. So, on the grand scheme of that star's life, that's not very long. Um, and it is a wonderful object to focus on. It's a great way to find your way around the sky, and of course, it has all kinds of interesting history. There was apparently back in you know the early days of astronomy in 1635, um, there was a viewing of Arcturus in the daytime with a telescope,
Oh,
which of course we
boy,
can do now with our telescopes, but it was more unusual in 1635.
that would be really exciting to be able to see something during the day with like that.
Yeah, I mean, of course, if we really wanted to, we could use the 1 meter, but that's sort of cheating now, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot that feels like cheating with the 1 meter because it's such a great telescope to use.
It's just actually a whole extra benefit that you get by being an astronomer in residence out at Killarney. You will become appreciative of the Ellen Carswell Observatory 1 meter because
Definitely. Anna and I are
um,
both sitting out here in bug nets, and I think we kind of look like aliens at the
that's
moment. There's
awesome.
a ton of mosquitoes around.
Do you have the green laser? Because with the green laser, you could really look like aliens.
Oh my gosh, we don't have the laser. But yeah, we would definitely look like aliens with that.
Yeah, this is a bit of fun if you're at a dark sky site, and you have done the laser safety and signed the agreement saying you know how to use the laser. Uh, Astronomers sometimes use these green lasers to basically light up paths in the sky because the green laser will scatter just enough in the air to make it visible. And so you basically get this super, super long laser pointer that points up. And you can only do it in certain locations in Canada. And obviously, it can't be near where any airplanes fly over. But it makes it really fun for people watching along with you because then you can point towards things like Arcturus and people can follow along with where you're pointing.
Yeah, we got to use the laser pointer last year, I think, and that was definitely a lot of fun.
Well, you have my hearty recommendations to check it out again this year.
Yes.
And if you're out at the Killarney Park Observatory and going on these tours, if you're lucky, your astronomer will have gotten the laser pointer. It's not always available, and sometimes it runs out of batteries. So we do not promise laser pointers, but it's always fun.
It's definitely a lot of fun to play around with because I've seen people do that so many times. So when we had the chance to use the laser pointer, I was like, oh, yep, absolutely. We're gonna use that.
Yeah, definitely. Um, Now, I think we have a few other objects on our list for tonight that would be fun to try to get to. Well, we're on Arcturus. Do you want to try to get to Vega?
Yeah. Let me just.
All right, so we're going to do a bit of star hopping, around to a couple objects, and then probably we'll call it a night. But since we found Arcturus successfully, another fun one to go to, which is also a pretty bright star, which I hope most people can enjoy, is Vega. So Vega is very much the opposite of Arcturus. It is a very bright, slightly bluish star. It's actually even closer. It's only 25 light years away, and it's a bit farther down in the east at the moment. But that means, of course, it will be getting higher up as the evening goes on. Vega is a really interesting one. Now I see we're still moving around.
Yes.
Excellent. And
I am just trying to get it to move. Sorry, just 1 minute. I can't be standing in front of the scope.
yes, well, you move the telescope. It looks like I have a little bit of time to tell a little bit more about Vega. So it is so close to our own sun, but also so very, very, very far away. I cannot ever emphasize enough and as enough times just how absolutely tremendous the distances in space are. And we do have a solar system walk, which is being put in place in Killarney, where there's a sundial which is coming, well, actually is nearly finished, almost complete, at Killarney Provincial Park. And the sundial is, I would say, roughly about as tall as I am, or maybe as tall as Sana is. So I'm gonna just guess it's around 5 feet high, 5.5 feet high, somewhere like that. Um, so it's not gigantic. It's big enough to accurately tell you the time from the sun. But that's actually going to be the sun in the solar system walk that they're putting into into Killarney Park. And if that's the sun, you can walk along and find the planets Mercury and Venus and Earth and Mars all to scale by actually following one of the hiking paths. And you will have to go a very, very long way to get to Saturn. And it will be very, very small. So by if your sun is what was it, between 5 and 6 feet, I said, your Earth is pretty small. It's a large marble. Your tiny little planet Earth, far, far away from the sun. So your solar system has so much space. But
Exposure
if you're
started.
ever out there and you're
Exposure
doing the solar
finished.
system walk, one fun question you can ask yourself is, well, if this was the sun and our solar system is so spread out with so much space, where would the nearest star to our sun be on this scale, right? If your sun was 5 or 6 feet tall, how far away would the next nearest star be? Which I will say was not Vega. It is Proxima Centauri, which is hand wave around 4 light years, which means the light takes 4 years to get from us to them
Exposure
and vice
started.
versa.
Exposure
But
finished.
that other star would not be
Exposure
in
started.
Ontario.
Exposure
That's
finished.
how far away these stars are. And so even the closest stars at only 4 light years are so incredibly
Exposure
far away,
started.
most of us can't
Exposure
picture it.
finished.
And Vega, we like to say, oh, it's so close. It's only 25 light years away, but it's actually still really, really far. Um, Vega, and this is a really fun one, has been super significant for a very long time. And because the Earth does a really cool thing where right now our northern pole is pointed toward the star we call Polaris, but in 12,000 BC, the Earth was not pointed at Polaris. It was pointed at Vega in the north. So if you were to go back to the year 12,000 BC, Vega would be your pole star. And very slowly, the star we call Polaris is moving away from true north of Earth because um, our actual tilt changes direction on this very, very, very slow time scale. If you want Vega to be the pole star again, this is the year 2026. You will have to wait until the year 13,724. So just cryogenically freeze yourself for 13,720 years at least, and then you will have Vega as your pole star again. And this looks great, Sana.
Yeah. So the one of the other really cool stars in this constellation that I can't stop talking about because it has a really cute name is the Double Double, which is right beside Vega and might actually be in this frame. We're looking with one of the smaller telescopes. So the 16-inch telescope has a 16-inch reflecting telescope, and then on top attached to that is a smaller scope with a much wider field of view. So you can see not only Vega, but a whole whack of the stars surrounding it in the constellation. And I'm just trying to figure out exactly where the Double Double is here.
All right, well, that's wonderful. And of course, the double double in Canada has a double double meaning, shall I say? Because of course, this is one of the most famous coffee orders at the let's say ubiquitous coffee place, Tim Hortons.
Yes. All right, I believe I can see the Double Double in the Finder scope. So it should be in this frame.
All right, let's check it out. And the double double or double cluster is pretty fun.
Yes. Yeah, you can see it even with so in Killarney you can see it with the naked eye because the sky is so beautifully dark here. So it's sitting right beside Vega. So it's a pretty easy one to spot if you get a star map. It's pointed out on the star map. So as long as you can find Vega, you can definitely find this star as well. Same cannot be said for Toronto or more light polluted areas where it can't really spot this thing with the naked eye. But it pops out beautifully here in Killarney. And if you were to
And
look at it,
if you do have a very good, a very well aligned robotic telescope, some of the smaller even sea stars, which are a very popular, extremely small, inexpensive telescope, some of those are good enough to bring out things and find objects like the double double, I will say.
yeah,
And this is if you're searching for it, its proper name is not double double. It is Epsilon Lyrae, and it's a multiple star system, and they say that there are at least five stars. It is 160 light years away, so it's much, much farther than the other things we've been looking at. But it's got an interesting, extremely wide component, and as Sana said, you got a very wide and a very narrow. So you have binary stars which are orbiting each other, and so it's called double double because there are double numbers of doubles that you can see. And there, of course, there are probably even more that have yet to be found. If you're looking for it on a star
Exposure
chart,
started.
look for Epsilon Lyrae.
Exposure finished.
But if you're going to be staying up all night, you might be getting yourself a double double from your local Timmy's and then going to watch the double double, which is just good fun.
yeah. So it looks like it's these two stars right here.
That's definitely half of it.
Yeah. So because we're using the smaller telescope that is attached to the 16-inch, it's kind of difficult to actually resolve each one of the two stars into a double. But with larger, it is still a very pretty, what looks like double star, but actually it kind of looks like there's a bit of a, maybe you can, but it's still a really pretty double star system to be able to see.
Oh, absolutely. And whenever you find things that really are physically bound, it's always really interesting because a lot of the things we see in space, they look close together, but we everything is flattened for us. We have no depth perception in space because we cannot tell the difference between bright object far away and a dim object up close. And so things that look close together, like constellations, often are, well, almost always are not. But real binary stars physically going around each other, that's pretty cool.
Hmm. Yeah, there's a couple of interesting binary stars that we can see here as well.
Absolutely. And I will say that if you do want to get the widest components of the system, they are pretty easily viewed even through binoculars. And this is a special Killarney Skies Super Dark Skies Observing Challenge. Some people have been able to see the two widest components of Epsilon Lyrae, the double double, with their naked eye under excellent conditions.
Oh man.
Yep. So
The
you need your perfect Killarney sky conditions for this one.
yeah, the one visual double star I saw last night was, I don't remember which one it is, but it's in the Big Dipper. It's in the handle of the Big Dipper. Do you know
Which one?
which stars there? It's two stars in the handle of the Big Dipper. I can never see both of them, resolve them from Toronto, but let me look up what it's called. I can never remember the name of this one.
So there's a Mizar is a double star.
Yes, that
Do you
one.
mean
That
Mizar?
one. Yep, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, so Mizar is pretty fun, and it's also pretty far away. It's 85 light years away or so. Um, and it's a nice one.
Yeah. Yeah, typically I can only see Mizar, but last night we could see Mizar and Alcor sitting right next to each other, which is a pretty fun one.
Yeah, and it is known to be just visible with the naked eye. And it's actually one of the things that people use to set their sky classification. So if you have particularly dark skies, sometimes people like to use a Bortle, what they call a Bortle classification. And this means for your darker skies, you actually rate it on a scale of like how dark is it from the darkest dark skies to the brightest pieces of downtown Toronto.
Mhm.
And one of the ways you can do that is by seeing how many stars you can actually see and being able to see both components, Alcor and Mizar. Um, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
This is why we have call it a dark sky preserve out at Killarney.
Yes.
All right, so we have a maybe just a few more minutes left, not too much, but we
I
can just probably get to one more object if you would
I was
like.
thinking Alberio,
Let's go for it.
which is not too far off of Vega. Speaking of double stars,
Yeah, it's one of my favorites.
me too. Just give me a minute. Yeah, so it's now the summer triangle is sort of coming up from behind the trees.
Wonderful. And of course, that gets us very close to the constellation of Cygnus the Swan,
Yeah.
where Alberio is located. This is a pretty popular double star. Um, it's got a lovely color contrast. So that's what we're hoping to be able to see. Even with, as I say, a small telescope or a sea star, a lot of times you can pick out the color components of these. And it's a really fun object to watch because, of course, it is a real double star. So these stars are physically bound together in space, and it has some fun history. There's a little bit of controversy around where its name came from. Apparently, there's some historical debate about what kind of, some people claim it was named after a bird. Um, but that the name Alberio has lasted and is in the International Catalog of Star Names. So whether or not you think it's a bird or a hen's beak or something else, the name has stood the test of time. Now, of course, it is, as I say, a binary star. These binary stars, if they get close enough, they can do all kinds of really interesting things by interacting and changing each other's
Exposure
evolution and,
started.
and sharing
Exposure finished.
material. But these ones are nice and far away from each other. So they actually have, a fair amount of distance between them. They're
Exposure
a little
started.
bit,
Exposure
a little
finished.
bit of debate about how much exactly, but we do know that the two stars, are approximately 395
Exposure
light
started.
years away from Earth. So this is
Exposure
actually
finished.
one of the more distant objects.
So they are right there.
395, 364, something like that. So lots of things going on with Alberio, and it's a really fun system to observe. So let's see if we can catch it. Is this our star?
Yes, it is.
All right, so I see the yellow for sure.
Yeah, I can see slight blue. I think in this one is a little bit bluish, and then this one is a little bit sort of yellowish.
Yeah, I can see the yellow coming across really, really well. And of course, Alberio, being known for its color difference, um, it is actually sneakily a trinary system. But you can really only see two most of the time.
Yeah.
So the fainter blue companion can be sometimes appear almost whitish depending on what your eyepiece is doing and what your optics are doing, and in this case, what our camera is doing.
Yeah.
So we we may have a little color correction in there, perhaps. Um,
Yeah.
but the two double stars that we can see, so it's a kind of a yellowy, almost amber. So it might appear almost golden colored in popular pictures. This is your Beta Cygni A, and then there's Beta Cygni B, which is the blue-green one. So they're separated by what we call 35 seconds of arc, which means if you divide up the sky into degrees, where 360 degrees goes all the way around Earth, each degree has um, hours and minutes and seconds. So you've got basically 1 degree divided into 60 minutes, and each minute divided into 60 seconds. So a fraction of a fraction of a of a degree on the sky. But through a telescope, this is not a problem. So as you can see, we've got the lovely amber um, Beta Cygni A, and then the blue-green Beta Cygni B. I definitely don't see any green.
I don't see any green either.
But it's pretty fun. So we can watch it, and this is also another one which we're not entirely sure how bound the two stars are. We think that if it's a real physical binary, their orbital period would be not a year, but more like 100,000 years, because they are so distant, which would make it a really interesting system. But yeah, there are still some debate in astronomical circles about whether or not they'll stay bound, or they might just drift apart and go their own separate directions.
Yep, this is regardless, this is really one of my favorite things to observe in the summer. Because again, you can kind of see this just through even a small telescope, and from light polluted areas as well. So this is definitely a favorite of mine. I always love to observe the favorites even out at Killarney Park.
Oh yeah, and this is a good one as well to just to mention to folks a little bit about the different kinds of stars that there are, because here you can see physically two different kinds of stars. You have a bluer star and a sort of golden reddish star. The different colors actually indicate different physical properties, different temperatures, and by analyzing the light from these stars, we can actually tell a little bit about what they are, how long they're going to live, and all kinds of other great, as I say, the fun stuff.
Mhm.
And it's great to follow along with it. Now, I think we'd probably better end off for this evening. So I'm going to leave everyone here on this beautiful binary system. And a huge thanks to both Sana and Anna for setting up the Killarney Parks Observatory tonight. Everyone, this has been really great time, and I hope that you get lots more clear nights.
Yes, me too. We'll definitely be sending around some more pictures and posting to the blogs if we do any more astrophotography.
Excellent. And if anyone wants to find out more about the Astronomer in Residence program or anything else mentioned on this show, please make sure to visit that same website, yourq.ca/science/observatory, and pick up some tickets for Astro Fair 2026, happening this August 29th, this year, which is still 2026, last time I checked. It's the only large event this year that we're doing, and it's the only one we're going to sell tickets to. Lots of great things. We're going to have telescopes. We're going to have cool pictures, maybe even better than this one. Lots of games. So lots of stuff for all ages. We're going to have coloring sheets and a walkable solar system so you can see the scale of the solar system, and of course, observatory tours. So if you want to find out about that or anything else, check out our website. Everyone, this has been really, really fun. You have been enjoying our Killarney Provincial Park Astronomer in Residence live stream for 2026. The hosts this evening have been myself, Dr. Elena Hyde, and of course, Sana Withers and Anna Skrinick on site at Killarney Provincial Park. If you'd like to find out more about the observatory, or of course, join us in person for any shows or online for other shows that happen every Monday, we have OPV. It's all on the website, yourq.ca/science/observatory. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Clear skies.